This is standard 15, sexual versus asexual production. And in this one, we started out with dissecting plants. And for a flower, we just needed to remember, or for a flower to reproduce, or a plant, it has parts to it. So it had a pistil, and then down here would be the ovary. And in here there would be like eggs. They wouldn't be seeds until the pollen that is on the top. And we know that that's what all the insects like bees and butterflies collect upon their appendages, and then they fly that to other flowers, and that's how pollination occurs. This is pollen. And then when the pollen gets down here to fertilize the eggs, and these things become seeds down here. So there is the anatomy of a flower or a plant. Draw. These are our petals. Not very good, I know, but I'm just trying to get through this quickly so you guys could understand. So these are all parts of a plant. I need to remember that. Also, this was the standard that we did sexual versus, the asexual diagram. So this is sexual, meaning there's two parents, and plants have this too, right? Only there's some plants that reproduce, like grasses, reproduce both asexually and sexually. But most organisms, especially complex organisms, reproduce sexually. We remember the amoebas and paramecium, the single-celled organisms, they reproduce asexually. But this would be like mom and dad, a male and a female, and 50% DNA would come from mom, and 50% of an organism's offspring's DNA come from dad. And this DNA includes lots of different traits. And so does this. So traits, same thing, lots of different traits. And so these different codes for traits go into the offspring, and the offspring will randomly have some from dad. So some of the traits will be from dad, and some traits will be from mom. And this 50% DNA here and this 50% DNA here go to create 100% DNA for the offspring. So that's where like your DNA came from. 50% of your DNA came from your mom, 50% came from dad. So you may not have exactly 50% of your traits from dad and exactly 50% traits from mom. Whatever manifests itself depends, whatever traits manifest that you can actually see that actually occur are the ones that are the most dominant. Okay, and so that's sexual reproduction. And then you need to remember that asexual reproduction is just one parent, one, no more. There's not a mom and a dad, and there's 100% DNA from this parent is transferred to the offspring. And so they're going to be identical. So you're not going to have any genetic variation like you have in sexual reproduction. It's going to be exact every time. It's going to be exact, except for if there is an accidental random mutation. Sometimes those are random, And sometimes it's because there's been like a toxin introduced, like tobacco smoke. So we know about mutagens that make the mutations not so random. So those can affect asexual reproduction. Mutagens can affect that, or just random mutations, random DNA mutations. In the process of the replication, just something inadvertently switches. And so then you will have some sort of genetic variation in the offspring. But it's very rare, much rarer, for genetic variation to occur in asexual reproduction than in sexual reproduction. Because, I didn't even write re up there. Reproduction. Because sexual reproduction obviously has two sets of parents, and we've got, you know, two different types of DNA, and if that keeps happening from generation to generation, we can see how random DNA mutations, or just even, you know, genetic variation in general, right? That's going to happen more often than in asexual reproduction. Okay, that's it for Standard 15.